Now today in our lesson we're going to start to think about key characters within the Easter story. Now for Christians, Jesus is most definitely the most important character within this narrative, but there are other key characters or figures too. And today we're going to start looking at someone called Judas. Now before we get started, I've got a quick question for you. What does the word betray mean? Have you even heard of it before? Do you know what it means? Have a little think and chat to the people around you. You see, betray means to let someone down in a really bad way. So if you're really close friends and really loyal to each other, well, you'd back each other up. You'd be supportive and you'd encourage each other. But if you betray someone, well, that breaks that friendship. It might be something that's said or something that's done that causes the other person to feel let down or betrayed. So today we're going to think about Judas, who betrayed Jesus, and how that came about. So firstly, what do you know about Judas? Have you heard of him before? Do you know what role he played in the Easter story? Have a little think and chat to the people around you. Well, we're going to see how well you did there. We're going to see whether you can remember who Judas is and what part he played in the Easter story. Now it's nearly the time of Passover, a great big festival where so many people came from all around the country to the city of Jerusalem. And Jesus was there in amongst them. And as they gathered together, as they were in the city, there was such a big crowd. Everyone wanted to see Jesus and to find out more about him. In fact, as Jesus had entered into the city, people started crying out and calling. They put cloaks on the ground and waved palm branches, shouting out, "Hosanna in the highest! Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord." There had been such excitement at Jesus coming into the city. But at the same time, there was a group of people who weren't excited about Jesus being there at all. In fact, they didn't think that what he was saying was right and true, and so they wanted to get rid of him. But they didn't dare do it in front of all the crowds, because surely they would revolt and riot. So they thought that they would try and get him arrested and find a secret way to do it. Now Jesus had entered into Bethany, and as he did so, he was there with all his disciples. And a woman came in, and she poured expensive perfume and oil and began to anoint Jesus. Now everyone around them started to feel uncomfortable. They couldn't believe what was happening in front of them. And the disciples, including Judas, started to get angry. "What is this woman doing?" they said. "She shouldn't be spending all of that perfume and wasting it on Jesus. Why, could have used that money instead and paid for the poor." But Judas only said that because he used to keep hold of the money pouch and he used to take some money for himself. But Jesus stopped them all. "No, what she has done is a beautiful thing. She has anointed me for my burial, and what she has done will never be forgotten." Now Judas grew angry about what had happened and left the room. He went out and found some of the chief priests and asked them what they would give him if he were to betray Jesus. The chief priests couldn't believe their ears. This is exactly what they wanted. One of Jesus' own friends was ready to betray him. So they counted out 30 pieces of silver and paid him money, waiting for Judas to come back so they could arrest Jesus. Now it came to the day before the Passover festival, and some of his disciples came to Jesus and asked him where it was that they were going to eat their festival feast. "Go into the city," said Jesus, "and you'll find a man carrying a jar of water. Go to him and say that the teacher wishes to have his Passover meal in his upper room. And go upstairs, and there you'll find a room and get it ready for the feast." It happened just as Jesus had said. There was a man carrying water, and the disciples went into his house upstairs and prepared the meal. Then night came, and all of Jesus' friends were there. And Jesus turned round and said, I have dearly wanted to have this meal with you, for it's soon time for the Son of Man to die and then raised to life again. And then Jesus picked up some bread. He broke it. This is my body broken for you. Eat it and do this in remembrance of me. And he shared the bread. Then he took the cup, a cup of wine. This is my blood shed for you. Drink this in remembrance of me. So they all drank. And then Jesus became sad. Truly, I tell you, one person here is going to betray me. And the friends of Jesus couldn't believe what they had heard. Not I, they said. And each and every one was so distraught to think that one of them would betray Jesus. And then Jesus looked at Judas. Judas looked at him. Not I, Jesus. I'm not going to betray you. So you say, said Jesus. And with that, one of the disciples whispered to Jesus, who is it that's going to betray you? The one who dips his bread in the bowl at the same time as me, replied Jesus. And with that, he took the bread, dipped it in the bowl, and ate. And at the same time, Judas put his bread in too. Whatever it is you've got to do, go and do it. With that, Judas stepped up and went out of the room. The other friends of Jesus just thought that Judas has gone off to do a job or an errand. He didn't realise what was going on. And so the meal continued, and they continued singing hymns and songs. And then Jesus got up. He left and went out and went up to the Garden of Gethsemane. And there his friends went with him, and he prayed. And as he prayed and he prayed, he saw in the distance flaming torchlight as a parade came walking towards him. And right at the front was Judas himself, and behind him were guards and soldiers. They'd come to the Gethsemane's gate. Judas turned round and told them, the man who I kiss is the one. He is the one you are to arrest. And so Judas went up, found Jesus and kissed him. Peace be with you, Rabbi, he said. Judas, do you betray me with a kiss? With that, the guards came and arrested Jesus. They took him down for him to meet his trial. So we're going to stop the story there. It does continue a little bit more, which we'll think about next lesson. So can you hear in there all the different ways in which Judas began his betrayal? Starting with going to meet the chief priests, the money that he received, feeling angry about what had happened, going to the meal, and then going to have him arrested. And the final sign of the betrayal is the kiss that he gave to Jesus. And a kiss was like a greeting. It was something you'd normally do to a dear friend. I wonder how Jesus felt in all of that. I wonder how it must have been for him. Have a little think as to what he was feeling. Now, betrayal is a hard thing, isn't it? Can you imagine being really close to a friend and that closeness being broken? Fancy being really loyal and faithful and then your friend letting you down. Well, that's hard, isn't it? And you might have had that happen to you yourself. Or maybe you're the one who did the betraying. You're the one who let someone else down. It's really tough to be in that place, doesn't it? It's really hard to feel that sadness. But there is a way to go further on. There's a way of mending broken friendships and a way of mending times when we are betrayed. I wonder whether you know what it is. It's forgiveness. It's when we say that although something wasn't right, it doesn't mean that it was okay what happened, but I still forgive you. So it wasn't okay what Judas did. He had done the wrong thing. But if he'd asked Jesus for forgiveness, then Christians believe that Jesus would have forgiven him. And when we let people down, when we hurt them, and when we break a friendship, well, we can do the same thing. We can say sorry and ask for forgiveness. And that means that our friendship can be healed. It can be made better. But it's not easy. And it doesn't happen all the time. But it's a way of healing something that was broken. And so what I'd love for us to reflect on from this story of Judas this week is times when we felt let down or we've let someone else down, and how forgiveness is the way to get through it. But I wonder why Judas betrayed Jesus in the first place. Well, we're going to think about that really deeply next week. So we're going to hold on to that as we think about Judas and what it was that he did and why he did it. And then we're going to think even more about that next week. Easter comic strip. Create a comic strip of the story, starting from Jesus entering Jerusalem on a donkey to being arrested. Hint, you don't need to include every detail, just use 6 scenes. How did Jesus feel? Why do you think Jesus was so sad that Judas betrayed him with a kiss? Chat about it with those around you and talk about what Judas could have done instead of betraying Jesus. Betrayal. Have you ever felt betrayed or let down by a friend? How could the friendship be made right? Create a friendship card to send to a friend saying all the things that you like about them and how they are a good friend to you. Can you complete these tasks?